Hello and welcome to Janette's TV. I'm your host, Janette Burke. We are live on location at the Hamilton Comic-Con, and I'm about to talk to Terri Runnels, who's from wrestling and female wrestling. Welcome to my show,
Thank
Terri.
you. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Is this normally the type of show you have, or like? What does Janette's TV cover?
Janette's TV covers a variety of lifestyle type of issues.
Okay.
We just rebranded from Janette's I'm Every Woman TV, so we do have a female focus,
Okay.
but we've widened it to include a male perspective as well. And so we just rebranded to Janette's TV, and my website is under revision. We're going to redo that. So basically, we cover lifestyle issues, we cover women's issues, women's products.
This is a crazy lifestyle that I lead.
And we also cover celebrities.
There you go.
So
Okay.
there we go. That's
I'm all
our.
yours, Janette. I'm all
Okay.
yours.
Thank you. Anyway, so as I mentioned at the top of the segment, you have had a wonderful career in wrestling.
Yes.
And
a
yet,
long career in wrestling.
a
yes.
long career in wrestling. And the thing is, wrestling is typically a male-dominated sport. So how do you see it evolving for women, and how was it for you to participate in a male-dominated sport and to get noticed and to get work?
So it was never my intention to be in wrestling. I worked for CNN, which back in the day we were so new, everyone called us Chicken Noodle News instead of CNN. It was back in the day where they would question, like, who wants to see news 24 hours a day? But of course, this many years later, we know everyone wants to be able to have access to that. So that's the job I had, was a makeup artist for Larry King Live and anyone that went on air. And it just so happened that on the weekends, because I was the low man on the totem pole, I had to do makeup for the weekends. And that's when a gentleman named Jim Crockett flew his wrestlers in to tape their shows at our studios. So I stumbled into the business very accidentally. And so I went from doing makeup for wrestling, and then they asked me to be an on-air character, and I accepted. For a while I did both. But back then, you pretty much had to either have a brother, a husband, a father, somebody that was in the business to get you in. Like, that was the typical entree for someone to get into the business. And, now everyone is clamoring to get in the business. But, I remember, loving what I had kind of tripped and fallen into. But when Vince McMahon made me start wrestling, I was like, no, I didn't want to do it. I begged. I said to him, Vince, people that love what they're doing do a much better job. I really don't want to wrestle. Please don't make me wrestle. And he would pat me on the arm and say, "You're gonna be great. You're gonna do great."
But were you afraid? I mean, you're
Girl,
quite tiny.
Yeah. So I look really great for like big guys like Brutus and Undertaker, and remember China, big female. Like, it makes them look that much bigger because I'm small. So I'm a useful tool taking bumps from someone. But having to actually wrestle another woman and have a match made me so nervous that when I would get to TVs, I would find out if I had to wrestle or not. And if I did, I would go up and vomit I was just nauseous.
But did you ever get physically, hurt?
Oh, yeah, yep. I mean, I still have to have injections in my back and torn meniscus, broke my sternum.
Oh my God.
Yeah, tons of things.
So was it worth it for you?
So, my family is in the business. I was in the business, I guess, a few years before my child's father, who was Goldust.
Right, Goldust, and I read about that.
Yeah, and so my daughter's grandfather was the great American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and what an amazing performer he always was. So it's something that I've always loved and appreciated. Once you're in the business, it gets in your blood. It becomes part of you, and you're never the same again, for good or for worse. But yeah, it's an amazing life.
And you were also married to a wrestler.
Yes, Goldust, that we were just talking about.
Yeah. And how was that, like, to be in the business as a wrestler yourself, married to a wrestler? Was there any kind of
It made life easier because
as opposed to adversary.
Knows what goes on. If you it's very difficult to explain to a husband or wife what really what we deal with on a daily basis. And when you've got a partner, husband, wife that's in it with you, it's like you don't have to explain it. You can just talk about it. And, the frustrations of the day, or, something that you loved about the match you were in that night or whatever. So it makes it so much easier.
What is your fondest memory of being in that wrestling world?
One of my absolute favorite moments was, so at a certain point, Vince decided we were going to drop the storyline and tell the truth, which was there was still storyline in it, but they brought my daughter into it. So instead of me having the name Marlena, I started going by Terri Runnels, which is my real name. And we decided to, bring Dakota in and kind of pull back the curtain, so to speak. The Wizard of Oz, pull back the curtain. And so at Madison Square Garden, which is like such an iconic, wonderful place to perform, my daughter comes running down the ramp and gets in the ring, and she's bouncing on the ropes, and she gets the mic, and I said to her, "You'll never forget the name of," and what Dustin, her father, would do was say, "Goldust," and so we're expecting her to say Goldust, right? Because she knows that line of his, and so when we said, "You'll never forget the name of," she goes, "Dad," and normally
That's cute.
Madison Square Garden, that crowd is such a hard crowd. Like they like heels better than baby faces, and they all melted. Like this communal happened, and yeah, that was one of my favorite moments.
And so that's a great moment, and also to celebrate something like that with your daughter.
Yes. She's now 25.
Oh my goodness,
yeah, she was 3 back then.
You look like 25 yourself.
Oh, bless you. I appreciate that.
And it's sincere. I don't lie.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to ask you though, like, after all of that, and to move forward and to have a different career, how were you able to apply those skills and go and do other things?
Well, I think because I like people, and I love engaging, with people. Yeah, to me it was easy. The hardest part, this sounds so snobby and terrible, the hardest part is like, after having flown on private jets and, limoed everywhere, it's like, it sucks to go back to civilian life, so to speak, It's
an adjustment.
It is. And so, yeah, that was kind of difficult initially, but it's funny too when I think that I'm the most unrecognizable, like either hair in a ponytail, no makeup, whatever, and I'm digging in something, getting toilet paper, God forbid. That's when someone will go, "Terri Runnels," and I'm like, oh my God, did you have to recognize me while I'm buying toilet paper without my face? Yeah, so.
Okay, so just last points. How is the world of wrestling changing for women, and what advice would you have if somebody came to you and said, I really want to get into this business?
And you asked that question earlier, and I didn't answer it properly. So it's changed in the sense that back in my day, the women, it was kind of like we were the icing on the cake. So the cake is this big, and we're this nice little layer. And I used to think, if you get too much icing with this much cake, it's like, ugh, too sweet, too much. But if you don't have any icing on a cake, that's a boring cake. So back then, they just didn't give credence to the women's wrestling. It was kind of like a novelty thing, like no big deal. Now there are so many women that train for years and years just to get a spot, and it's come like around like 180. It's just.
Are they working together? The women, are they supportive and collaborative, or are they competitive?
No. I mean, you, of course,
like it's an act on the
stage.
stage.
Your character to be an important part of any storyline, absolutely. But you also don't blame someone that you're working with, because it's not their decision. It's the bookers and those that are writing the storylines. So.
And what have you got going on now that, like, we like to call this the shameless promotion little segment? What do you got going on now that you want to tell us about?
This is not a shameless plug for Diet Pepsi, but thank you. Tonight, 7 o'clock to 8:30. I have a live stream every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. So it's an hour and a half of me with my fans talking. They can ask me anything, and we laugh. We have a good time. Sometimes I'm in my PJs for it. Sometimes I'm at a restaurant. Sometimes I could be doing something like this and just, have it be with my fans. So it's Cigars, Scars, and Superstars live stream on dlive.com. So www.dlive.com/the Terri Runnels.
And do you have anything else that you're working on right now that you want to talk about?
No, I'm not working on making a baby or anything. No. Someone just
Any
asked me
business
the
deal?
other day. Yeah, but stuff. I don't feel comfortable talking about.
How about a website that we can go and learn more about?
Go to my social media, which is the Terri Runnels. So Instagram, Twitter, and I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but I do use it for promotion. Depending upon what's coming up. So.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us too today. Please remember to like, comment, and share all our posts with the fabulous women and smart men in your life. You will find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, Vimeo, YouTube. You name it, we're there. Yes, Instagram. You name it, we're there. Hashtag Janette's TV. And until next time, this is Janette Burke, your host, signing off. Remember, continue to be fabulous. Bye for now.